What is up, guys? This is Pinzo back with another video today, and what I have for you guys is patch notes. This is patch 7.2. If you guys are around on Twitter, in their Discord, etc., you guys have probably already seen it. I know Crashy did a video on it yesterday. I was debating double uploading, but I don't think I'm gonna. So you guys are probably seeing this Saturday, the next day. It's a really big patch. We're gonna get into it. I have mixed feelings about the patch. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. We'll talk about it as we go. I've got a couple other kind of discussion videos coming up that I want to make, so I might leave some stuff out of this and save those for another day. But today's patch is 7.2, so you guys can once again, as always, pause and read this if you guys want to read the whole thing. Otherwise, I will summarize. This basically means that this is the last big patch that they are trying to release to address time to kill. They still think that it's too fast. They're trying to slow it down. That's essentially the idea behind the patch. And so this one is going to go over a lot of base values in the game. They're, as they say in here, they're like, hey, it's been 6 months. We've changed a lot of stuff about the game. We don't think the base values are where we want them, just because we think the rest of the game has changed more than the base values have. So we're going to change the base values as well, which makes sense. That's fine. We're going to get into it. Some skins, epic, silver, gold, very cool. Balance changes. So this is off to a hot start. I will try to explain these to those of you who don't understand to the best of my ability. Magical armor. So for those of you who don't know, magic armor in this game, all melee heroes have the same magic armor. All ranged heroes have the same magic armor. The base magic armor. It's all the same. It's just the way they do it. Melee heroes are getting, they're getting a total of about 15 extra magic armor late game once it scales up. Again, some of that is being put towards level. They're getting a little bit extra base. And then ranged heroes are gaining about 9 extra armor late game. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it does kind of add up when you think of mages lost some flat pen on their starter item. Right now you're talking about having 9 extra defense to go against their 25 pen or 15 pen even, right? Like, it does help. It does make a difference. So don't underestimate changes like that. It's not going to drastically change the game, right? Because everyone's getting it, but you know, it helps. It helps. Moving into this. So this is something you're going to see on most of these heroes is most of the heroes on this are getting physical armor changes. Either changes to their base physical armor or their physical armor growth. When you see physical armor growth, that means physical armor added per level. So right here, Countess is going from plus 3.5 to plus 4. So she's getting an extra half in armor per level. So if you're level 1 on Countess and you say have 25 physical armor, when you level up to level 2, you now have 29 because you get 4 more. That makes sense. So late game, because she got half of 1, she has 9 extra physical armor because the max level is 18. That's a very common change. You're going to see a lot of these values go up and down. That's what it means when I say it. So I'm not going to stop and explain that for every hero. We're going to go over it because, again, the hero part of this I actually quite like. It's the second half of these patch notes that we're going to get into some discussion about. She gets healing reduced on her right click. Cool. And then her ult gets some damage taken off of it. That's fine. Crunch. So Crunch got mega buffed this patch. Crunch is going to be a monster when it comes to Tuesday's patch. First of all, he gets a whole extra armor per level. This is going to be like 22 extra armor at the end of the game. That's a lot. His Q gets more base damage. It gets its physical scaling reduced. And then they're doing this thing on Crunch where they're adding more magic damage to his kit. So more magic power scaling. So his Q goes to 80%. His E goes to 70% so that you can build magic power on this character and get a little more value out of it. I don't see you really doing that, to be honest, but you can. And the cooldown on his Q goes down, which is really good. This is net buffs to Crunch, in my opinion. He loses damage on his E, doesn't matter. Loses damage on his right click, doesn't matter. His Q got mega buffed. This character's cracked. Decker. Again, so this is the first time we see the base armor increased. Physical armor increased from 20 to 24. That's base armor. And then she gets an extra 1 per level. So it's 22 extra armor late game, It's quite a bit on a already a fairly tanky character, or someone you're building fairly tanky. And then this one, I don't really understand this change. They're decreasing the cooldown on her Q if you max it first. So late game, it's lower cooldown. I don't really know why to do that. And then to incentivize you leveling the Q, they took 5 damage off of her right click, which just doesn't really compute for me. They did increase the mana cost, which I think is a good change, but you're still gonna max the right click first. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. Kind of odd. Anyway, still really good. Drongo gets more base health, gets more health per level. So this is the other thing that we were talking about. So you have base health, and then you have health growth. So per level, he's gaining 100 health flat. It's 8 more than he was getting before, so he's ending the game with like an extra 150 health, plus 20, right? So 170 health than he had before. It's pretty good. Feng Mao, same thing. So they think Feng Mao's OP in the solo lane, so they are taking his base health down a little bit, but he's getting the same treatment where he gets more armor per level. Again, this is a pretty common thing. I'm going to kind of start skipping over this because this is happening to like over half the cast is getting more physical armor per level or more base physical armor. It's a pretty common theme, so I'm going to start kind of brushing past it. Gadgets, more health per level, more armor per level, and then her passive gets the damage reduced. There you go. Gideon actually gets less health to start the game, but then a little bit more per level, ends at a pretty much the same value. His base physical armor goes down a little bit. He's a little easier to kill level 1. This says Q. This is his passive, actually. This is a typo. His passive gets some scaling taken off of it. Doesn't really matter. It's gonna hit for like 20 damage less late game. That's fine. His right click gets cooldown decreased late game. If you max it first, then you can get this down to 6, whereas now it ends at 7. But at rank 1, it's a little longer, and then his ult gets 45 damage taken off of it. Still doesn't matter. Still a really good character. Grux. Grux gets front-loaded. So when I say front-loaded, I mean they took some health off of his scaling. So he lost 3 health per level, but he's gaining 40 health to start the game. So at level 1, he's substantially tankier. Per level, gets a little worse. More armor per level. Howie. So actually, these Howie changes are good. I actually quite like these. They took a lot of health off of him at level 1. Because he has such a big hitbox, he actually has a decent amount more health than most of the other mid laners. They took quite a bit of that away. 70 lower health at level 1 is like 2 autos or 1 whole ability. Like that's a lot less health to have at level 1. So there's that. His passive gets nerfed, his right click gets nerfed, and then his E gets a radius decrease. So it's not quite as big. I like that change. It keeps the skill of the ability without completely dumpstering it. Kalari, so this is a lot. You guys can pause and read this. I'm not going to read every change to Kalari. She gets the same treatment. Her Q now lasts a shorter duration. It is on a slightly longer cooldown, but it does more damage, and it does the damage on cleave. So you can clear with this ability now. When you use this ability and hit like your 5 camp in the jungle, it will now deal all of this base 150 damage will get dealt to all the minions that you hit with it. So she's going to be better in solo. She's going to have better clear in the jungle, but it's not going to be quite as good for those prolonged ganks where you're really trying to stealth and path around like a ward or something like that. It's not going to be as good for that. Other than that, her right click gets just a shift. Her E gets a nerf, and her ult gets a buff. Chimera, same thing, similar to Grux, gets front-loaded on stats a little bit, but taken off of the scaling, so a little stronger level 1. And then his right-click gets a weird quality of life, where in the air, your stacks won't expire. So when you press right-click, you gain an extra second of stack time, so that they won't expire while you're in the air. It's just quality of life. I like that change. Kira gets a lot of health. She gets 12 extra health a level on top of 20 base, which is like an extra 220 health or something like game, right? Like that's quite a bit. But she actually gets more armor at level 1 and less per level. So she gets kind of a reverse of what we've seen so far. Her Q gets some scaling added to it. Bellica, her Void Bomb now does a little bit less damage, 5% scaling taken off of it, but it explodes a tiny bit faster. It'll make it more reliable to hit without your stun. Probably a net buff to most people's Bellica play. Morigesh, her passive does more damage to minions, and her right click does a little more damage. Murdoch, again, lots of health changes. He's going to end up with more base health late game, and more armor late game. There you go. Right click gets a pretty substantial damage nerf to it actually, and then his E gets a rework. So instead of providing health, it will now provide a lot of movement speed, 30%, but for only 2.5 seconds. It is on a lower cooldown, so you can spam this a little bit. This is going to allow Murdoch to reposition in fights a little better. It still does not give slow immunity, so keep that in mind. But you're going to be able to kind of spam this. You're going to be really fast for 2.5 seconds, and then it's going to go on cooldown. I actually think this is probably going to be a pretty strong ability, I would imagine. He's not going to feel tanky because you don't get like 200 extra health or 300 extra health like you did before, but I still think this is probably a pretty good ability. Muriel gets taken down on health, gets increased on armor. Phase gets her healing decreased and then gets a bug fix so that you can pull instantly. Very cool. Rampage gets front loaded, same as Kai, where his stats are just a little better early game. His passive gets nerfed late game. So at the end of the game, you're actually going to get a decent amount less attack speed in the jungle, like 9%, which is substantial. And then his E gets 10 damage taken off of it. Revenant, they really like this 4 theme on him, so they're changing all of his numbers to 4s. This is fine. He's going to be pretty tanky late game. Again, he's getting like 34 extra base health and then another 8 per level. So that's a decent amount extra to have at the end of the game. Richter, so this kind of changed. This is actually a full buff to Richter. 70 extra health at level 1 is a lot, by the way, especially in the solo lane. In support, you'll notice this a tiny bit less, but in the solo lane, that's a lot. And then he gets almost 2 extra armor per level. This is like 30 armor at the end of the game that he's getting at level 18, which is wild. I think they're trying to push him in the solo lane. This is a crazy amount of armor to gain. So watch out for Richter. Sevarog, they're shifting Sevarog's passive. So Sevarog's passive right now gives one stack for every kill, and then I believe it gives 3 stacks on a siege minion kill with an ability. Now it's going to give you stacks equal to the CS value. So for those of you who don't know, things like red buff and blue buff actually count as 6 CS. I don't know why that's how it is. That's just how it is. Certain jungle creeps also count for more. So like your 2 camp, I think gives you like 5 CS total. Between the 2 creeps, they just like some of those creeps give you more. That's kind of how the jungle works at the moment. I'm not exactly sure why, but so this is basically going to make jungle sev viable because you can get more stacks in the jungle because the jungle camps are worth like more CS. It's not going to like increase your gold or anything like that, but you can play him in the jungle now. Other than that, his lane won't really be affected. Stacks per tier has been increased by quite a bit. So your first tier of shoulders, you're going to get 10 stacks later, and your last tier, you're going to get 40 stacks later, which is quite a bit. But you're going to get some more health at each of those tiers. But keep in mind, his health growth was decreased, so you're losing 180 base health off of your health growth, and you're gaining right here, I believe this is 200 base health total if you get to max stacks. So realistically, at max stacks, you're only gaining 20 base health. So they're moving some of his base stats into his passive, which I think is probably a good change. I don't dislike this. It makes him a little bit more skillful to play. You just actually have to stack a little bit better than you did before, which I like. Shinbi, ultimate nerf. Sparrow, armor increase. Steel gets health and armor increases, and the right click damage goes down a little bit. That's fine. Faye, health armor increases. Slow on her Q increased by 10%. That's actually pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's actually going to be noticeable. And then her ult gets a little less damage on it. That doesn't matter. It's still, that's not why you're using the ult. Items. So that's all of the hero changes. I don't mind those. I kind of tried to breeze through them. I'm gonna try and speed this up a little bit because I don't want to be here all day. If you guys have questions about any of the changes that I go through too fast, let me know down in the comments. I'm going to get into some other stuff with the patch as we go down below. So I'm going to try and kind of like go through most of the patch, and then I might end the video with a discussion or something like that, or stop at certain places and have some kind of discussion kind of comments. Starting us off in the items, crests. Ortis, finally, Ortis gets fixed. So for those of you who don't know, Ortis has been bugged for like the last 3 months, so that if you activate it and then get hard CC'd, you don't get stacks. They fixed that. I don't know why that took 3 months to fix. It doesn't seem like it should take 3 months to fix, but it did. They finally did. So Ortis is actually a usable crest now. You can use it. It's not trash anymore. Razorback gets a bit of a damage reflect nerf. That's good. This item is really, really strong right now. I think it probably needs a change to the increased protections, but that's just me. Some of these items I'm going to skip over because some of them don't really matter, but this alchemical rod one does. So you no longer get haste off of alchemical rod, but alchemical rod, the tier 2 that gives you the stacks, can now give you the increased power, which is actually pretty big. You're going to notice this is a pretty big theme, taking haste off of items. I don't mind it, but also something to keep in mind is because haste has diminishing returns in this game, getting large amounts of haste actually doesn't matter. Most people kind of build more haste than you need. Once you hit like 40, 50, you don't really need more. Like that's pretty much capped. Like you can get more than that. You have builds that can get to 100, 110 haste. It just doesn't really matter at that point. So most of these aren't really going to affect your build, because 10 haste here and there isn't really going to make or break it. Barbed Pauldrons, this is the tier 2 of Frost Guard, gets increase on the attack speed slow, very cool. Scalding Scepter, this is the tier 2 of Caustica, gets a bit of a penetration nerf. Tomahawk, this is the tier 2 of physical penetration, gets a penetration increase. There you go. Assassin items, Deathstalker. Bonus damage increased, and it's not true damage, it's physical damage. This doesn't make Deathstalker better. The issue with Deathstalker is that on characters you want to buy Deathstalker on, you want to kill people in less than 6 hits. So you will never get this stacked in the time you would like someone to be dead. That's the issue with the item. If you have to stand in someone's face for 6 hits, you're gonna die. Demon Edge gets reworked. It has breach passive, essentially. It is not technically breach passive. It does... when you hit a shield, it does a percentage of the remaining shield as damage, so it won't kill the shield. It's not technically bonus damage to shields, but it'll make you kill shields faster. But the important part of this is that hitting a shield grants you 20% move speed. That's crazy. Against Muriel, anyone with this item is just moving 20% faster, period. That's all there is to it. Carries are going to be feasting with this item. Dread, pen decreased, and heal decreased. This item's pretty cracked. This is a good change. Malady, this is getting a haste decrease. Like I said, they're kind of knocking haste off of those early game items. Those first items you're buying, they're knocking some of the haste off of them. So maybe just trying to slow down the game a little bit, make your abilities come out a little bit slower. Mesmer gets its armor taken off in place of health, which is fine. You can build it against physicals now. Let's see. Omen. Omen gets a nerf on the damage. Omen actually does bonus damage, which doesn't really matter. But what does matter is the cooldown reduction on Omen. It goes from 1.5 to 2 seconds. That's probably like a decent amount of change, right? Like especially like maybe only on Fang Mao is this gonna matter. But that's a noticeable change. Painweaver gets the haste treatment. Perforator is getting a little bit of a rework. It's going back to being a penetration item. So has 30% pen on it. Keep in mind that before this patch, the pen items only had, Breach had 20% and Demolisher had 25% pen on them, right? So these are going back to 30% pen. Keep that in mind. It will come in handy later. And then it gains Dreambinder passive, so your ability's slow for physicals, right? Dreambinder for physicals. Carry items. This is where we're gonna get into it. So, Breach getting reworked. Breach is now a crit item. Very cool. I love crit items. It's an attack speed item that gives you AoE autos. AoE autos on this item. I don't know if you guys are Season 2 Smite players, but Golden Bow was the worst meta that I've ever seen. This is Golden Bow. It's Golden Bow. This is basic attacks deal an additional 30% of your physical damage in a small area around the target. That damage can critically strike. Very cool. I'm glad that we have more crit items in this game. The damage decreases based on distance, blah, blah, blah. The issue with this item is that now, so there's always been this kind of strat, especially like on Drongo, to go Mind Razor, because Mind Razor with Drongo Boomerang allows you to instantly clear the wave. That's just how the thing works, because it procs on every minion with Boomerang, blah, blah, blah. This builds out of Barbaric Cleaver. Barbaric Cleaver causes you to do AoE damage on auto attacks. It is not specific to melee. I know it kind of sounds like it should be. It is not. It is not specific to melee. It is all auto attacks do AoE damage. The issue with that for carries in the past is that you have to go Mind Razor to get value out of it, because like that's the only other good one. But Mind Razor doesn't have good stats on it for a carry. Now you have a carry item with this. I hate it. I'm going to be honest. I don't like this. It's just going to increase wave clear. It's going to make it just... Every carry can shove waves now. So like Drongo, who has really good wave clear, just doesn't get a benefit off of that. And Kira, who has really bad wave clear, just kind of also now gets to benefit off not having wave clear. I just don't really like it. We'll get into this whole crit debacle in a minute. You guys will see. Demolisher. Demolisher is pretty much the same item, gets power taken off of it. Increased to 30% pen from it was 25. Now it's 30% pen. Its added passive is that it's perforator passive. So you deal more damage to players with more health than you. That's what it is. It's not chin size. It's not Sky Splitter where you deal damage based on their health. It simply increases your damage dealt based on how much more health they have than you. So that's how this works. So you can get up to 25% extra damage if they have more max health than you. That's pretty good. We will get into this whole crit items being really good thing in just a minute. Lightning Hawk. I don't know anyone here who thought Lightning Hawk was in need of a dire nerf or a dire buff, but they did. They buffed Lightning Hawk. Lightning Hawk not only gets a cost decrease, but it gets an attack speed increase. I don't know on that one. I've been building Lightning Hawk for the last 2 months because the item is really, really good, and they're buffing it. Stormbreaker. So this is where we get into the whole crit thing, okay? This is, in idea, a very cool item. The idea behind this item is good. This is ripped straight from League of Legends, all right? That's what this item is. I'm not going to go over the exact stats on it, but what you need to know is that it's basically the same item where it's still like every 8th auto or every 4th auto or whatever zaps people around you, or people around the auto. It now converts crit chance. So it takes your crit chance away and gives you bonus damage on your auto attacks. You can no longer crit when you buy this item, but it will give you a lot of damage. So down here, deals 30 base damage, and additionally every 1% of crit chance is an additional 1.5 damage. So if you have 100% crit chance and this item, which is the most you could get, then you are doing an extra 180 damage per hit, but you cannot crit. It takes away your crit chance. That's the idea behind the item. I am going to, so if you guys want to continue to the patch notes, skip like 2 minutes ahead. I'm going to talk about carry items for a minute, because I don't want to have to come back to them. I kind of want to get this discussion out of the way, and you guys can let me know in the comments if I'm completely off base on this, or if you guys kind of feel some of this too. 3 months ago, Omida had said, they're like, hey, we're not happy with where carry items are at. We're going to have this big carry patch. We're tired of carries only having one build path, and that build path being crit. That was pretty much their words, like verbatim. They were like, hey, we don't want carries to have to build crit every game. So they had this big carry patch where they changed a bunch of items to make a bunch of non-crit carry items, and it was kind of cool. Obviously, crit's still the best. They didn't balance it super duper well. Crit was still the best, except for playing Sparrow. You built crit every game. I don't mind that. That's fine. That's a woe of them not doing it properly or whatever, right? My issue is that now, if you look at every single one of these carry items, there are 4 carry items in here, in this patch. Every single one makes you build crit items, right? Stormbreaker doesn't have crit on it itself, but it incentivizes you to build other crit items. I simply do not like the emphasis that this game puts on crit. I don't like it. I think it's boring more than anything else. Why do I want to build crit every single game? Like, I built Lightning Hawk for the last 3 months and you just buffed it. I'm just still gonna build it. It's boring. I don't like that Breach was one of the few non-crit carry items and is now another crit carry item that's going to be very, very good. I don't like that Breach was one of the non-crit pen items that like was something an on-hit build could go, and now it's not a pen item. So the only pen option, realistically, for carries is Demolisher, which is a crit item. It's the only penetration option because you're not going to go Perforator on carries. Whatever you guys think, you're not going Perforator on carries. So Demolisher is really your only pen item. And Stormbreaker is just like, yeah, does it make you not crit? Yes, it does make you not crit. It forces you to build crit items to get the effect of them. I just don't really understand why they would say, hey, we don't want crits to be the only build, and then make crit the only build. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. And maybe it's because I'm not a carry main. Maybe carry mains think that that's the most fun way to play carries. I'm not sure. It just feels really off to me. Like, it just seems like it's kind of a 2 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of thing, if that makes sense. I don't like Breach, this whole item. I just don't like this. It's going to incentivize, like, just playing non-clearing. It's going to make everyone's clear good, which means that the characters with good clear suffer directly from that. The rest of these, Demolisher, again, they're trying to reduce time to kill, and then they give you the exact thing you need to increase time to kill. It's whatever. They're increasing pen. I understand why they're increasing pen, because even though they gave everyone extra armor, the idea is to make you tankier early game and to make you less tanky late game. My issue with that is that they gave all the characters armor per level, so that you're only really tankier like in the second half of the game, which is where penetration starts coming online, and now carries have more of it, right? Before, even if they were building Demolisher, it was only whatever, it was only, I just lost the word, 25%. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. It was only 25% pen. Now it's 30, right? So you're gaining pen and increasing armor. Like, it feels like it's kind of two conflicting things. Like, oh, we're gonna increase armor to make the time to kill longer, but then we're gonna increase pen to make time to kill shorter. And yes, it's not a one-to-one. Again, late game, this is going to be pretty similar to what it is now. Mid game, you'll probably feel a little tankier. I don't like the direction they've gone with carry items. They made it so that you now always have to build crit. I don't really like that. Getting into fighter items, some of these are getting pretty crazy increases. I would watch out for tanks next patch. Tanks are going to be, I think they're going to be insane. Augmentation health increase bone saw is getting just kind of changed. So instead of 6 stacks, it'll be 3, but each stack gives 10% attack speed. So it's going to stack up a little faster, but it actually caps out a little lower. So it'll cap out at 30% attack speed instead of 36%, but you'll get it a lot faster. I think that's probably a good change. Grux is really the only character you're building this on. He's going to like this change. Draconum. Draconum has a passive where every time you hit someone with like an auto attack or something like that, it increases your healing and defense, or healing and power or something like that. And then at like 10 stacks, if you get a takedown, if you get a kill or an assist, it burst heals you. And that is getting changed from missing health healing to bonus. It heals you based on your physical power. That's a good change in my opinion. It was healing tanks for a lot. Like Crunch late game could get 1 assist and heal for like 1,000 damage, which is a lot. And it no longer gives you attack speed. Legacy. So this one actually is, I think this is a good change. It gets its power passive. So this used to have a strength from pain mechanic, where the lower your health, the more power you got off of it. That's going away. It's getting some more base power, but then the passive is getting so this item, when you drop below a health threshold, it gives you 3 seconds of CC immunity. That health threshold is now 40%. Why is that important? Well, so number one, having 3 seconds of CC immunity at 40% health is a lot better than having it at 30%. You just have a lot more HP to work with. You can keep fighting. Before at 30%, you kind of had to run away. Now you can keep fighting. The other thing is that Salvation also procs at 40%. So when you hit 40% health, if you have both those items, you now get a big ass health shield from Salvation and 3 seconds of CC immunity. So like that's a really key interaction that makes that will be good. So keep that in mind. Mutilator gets haste taken off of it, but Omnivamp increased. I'm assuming this is to stop just like Crunch from running rampant with 25 haste on his first item. I still think you're probably building this first, if I'm being honest. 8% Omnivamp is just too good with the passive to pass up on an item like this. Overlord. The Bludgeon passive, so currently this is deal 3.5% of your bonus health as damage on auto attacks. It is being changed to 2.5% of your bonus health as physical power. So on characters like Crunch, now this is good, because it will make your abilities hit harder. Before it was just your autos. Yeah, you'll probably, like, you might see this on Crunch in certain builds. I don't think it's better than Mutilator, but it still seems good. Tainted Blade, this doesn't matter. Mage items. The mage items I think are getting hit pretty hard. Magicals, this is Astral Catalyst. The base magical power gets increased, but the Spell Slinger passive is removed. Spell Slinger gives you, it gives you 3% bonus magical power every time you cast an ability for 3 seconds. So if you cast 3 abilities, you now have 9% increased magical power. It's pretty good. It's not useful on really anyone except Fae and maybe Morigesh, but really just Fae. With the base magic power increase, you still are probably going to see this in the exact same situations you would build it right now, which is basically, hey, I need to solo carry a game on Fae, which means I'm going to have to ult a lot, which means I'm going to buy Astral Catalyst. That's still the only time you're going to buy it. Azure Core, same treatment as Alchemical Rod. It no longer has haste on max stacks. It gains 10 power on the base item, which is decent, and then same passive. Just the same power passive, yeah. Dreambinder, you no longer have 10% increased damage against slowed targets. That was just too much, so they took it off. But they gave some health back to compensate. Golem's Gift. This item gets a gold increase, a haste decrease. Again, this is just going to happen to a lot of these haste items. They're just going to go down. This is a cool buff, actually. I think this is a good buff. So Stone Skin, casting an ability will now refresh 1 stack. For those of you who don't know, I believe each stack of Golem's Gift gives, I think they changed it. I think it's 6 power and 6 defense, 6 physical defense. So like on a character like Sev, every time you Q now, you're gaining 6 power and 6 defense, and then when they hit you, those stacks fall off. So I think this is a really cool change to this item, actually. I do like that. I think that's pretty cool. You're not going to pick this up on mages, obviously, but on characters like Sev, maybe even Crunch, this could be usable. Lifebinder is getting a shift, so they're trying to move away from those really hasty items and give you something else to work with. This is Lifebinder. It is getting its haste passive removed, so you're no longer gaining haste based on your health. It is getting increased in power, health, and lifesteal. So they are trying to compensate it. I think this is probably a net nerf, in my opinion. In the few cases where you're going to pick this up, I think that you are picking it up for the haste. So I don't know if they need to buff it more or maybe change its passive a little bit to make this a good item. I'm guessing you're not going to pick this up very much. Magnify. This is the attack speed pen shredding item for mages. It gets more attack speed but no haste on it. And then it is getting less shred, so it currently shreds 6% of their target's magical armor per auto attack. That is being put down to 5. I believe it is 5 max stacks, so this is going to go to 25%. And then you gain power per auto attack, and that is also going down. So net nerfs to Magnify, but more attack speed, so you can get some more upfront attack speed when you buy the item. Oblivion Crown. Its current health damage is increasing, but the bonus magic damage is removed. Bonus magic damage is not the second passive. Currently, this passive, Oblivion, what it does is when you hit someone while this is up, it does your ability does an additional magical damage equal to 8% of their current HP, and causes them to take 10% additional magical damage for the next 3 seconds. That is the part that's being removed. So the bonus damage is increasing, but the taking extra damage part is going away. This still is going to give 15% bonus magical power. Prophecy getting changed. Currently, Prophecy gives attack speed based on your ability haste. They are switching that, so you are going to gain ability haste based on your attack speed. I don't think that makes the item good outside of auto attack builds. Like, I still think like Prophecy, Typhoon, Magnify builds are the only place you're going to see this item. But it's interesting because now you can't just like cheese more haste out of it. kind of have to, like, you get less haste from it. It's a whatever change. Spellbreaker gets more armor. Tainted Scepter gets pen added, but the haste taken off. So this is big because Tainted Scepter, one of the reasons why this item is good in support specifically, why like Tainted Scepter is really good on Decker, is because it has 20 haste on it. Getting rid of that. On top of that, the damage is not true damage, it's now magical damage. My hope is that this change makes this not a support item. It still is going to give you burst damage. It still like does anti-heal. It still has 200 health on it. My hope is that it makes it not a support item. I don't like this item in support. I think it gives supports too much damage. It's a really annoying item to play against because it gives health, haste, and power on top of true damage. They're fixing 2 of those 4 things. So my hope is that this stops it from being a support item. I think it'll be very mediocre in other places. You might still pick it up if you need tainted, but honestly, the tanky tainted options are just straight up better. Just make your tanks get tainted. Don't worry about it in mid. World Breaker. They changed this item. I've been complaining about this one for like 5 months. The base power gets increased, and then the passive, instead of scaling off of your max health, is now bonus health. So instead of 2% max health, it is 4% bonus health. So you probably aren't picking this up in mid anymore, which is blessed. I did not like that this item was a mid lane item simply because the stats were really good. Now it's going to be an actual bruiser magic item. So Sev is still going to really like this item. Even Crunch maybe really likes this item now. Richter, right? Like those kinds of characters are still going to like this item. It just won't be picked up in mid, which I think is a good change. I've been asking for that for a while. Tank items. These are more like the bruiser items. These are getting mega buffed. Crystalline Cuirass. So they basically are like, they're changing Void Helm, which we'll get to, but they're basically like, hey, Crystalline Cuirass is going to take Void Helm's spot. So Crystalline Cuirass, it gets its base stats changed a little bit. More health, little less armor up front, but it gets essentially Void Helm passive. So its passive is gain 5 armor per stack. At max stacks, gain movement speed. Receiving magical damage gives you a stack, but you can only get 1 a second. So you can't instantly stack this. But at max stacks, this is 6 stacks. Yeah, this gives you 90 magical armor at max stacks, which is quite a bit. And it gives you move speed. You are losing the health regen that Void Helm gave you, but you're still gaining movement speed. You're gaining more armor overall, more health. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty good item. Dynamo is they're trying to push this as a support item, which it already was, but they're pushing it as a support item. So it costs less, gives less health and armor, but it has 10 haste on it, which it didn't have before, which was why Dynamo first was kind of like meh, is because it didn't have haste on it. Now it does. Its passive is getting changed, so it's no longer Pen Shred. Before it was when you hard CC an enemy, reduce their armor by 30% for 4 seconds or 3 seconds or whatever. Now that enemy takes 10% increased damage instead. So they keep all their armor, but they take 10% increased damage. So Flux Matrix, less health, more armor, less gold. Very cool. Frost Guard, more armor, less haste. Makes sense. It no longer slows movement speed around you. That's fine. But it applies one of its stacks to people around you every half a second, which you don't really feel, but that radius has been increased. So now people around you just get their attack speed slowed even if they're not hitting you. Raiment of Renewal, health regen decreased. Stonewall, health increased, but its reduction of ability damage has been decreased. Tainted Guard gets more armor, less haste, but its damage on the passive goes up. Tainted Armor was bugged. It was doing way too much damage. They fixed it. Now it's not good enough. They're buffing it again. And then finally, Void Helm. I don't like this one. I'm going to be straight up. So they changed this item. It costs less. It still has 450 health, 40 magical armor, 10 haste. First of all, those are crazy base stats. Those are insane base stats. Just by the way. First passive. Gain 10% healing. I hate it. I hate it. So second passive is immobilizing an enemy hero. Restores 3% of your max health. Max health. Not missing health. Max health over 4 seconds. which means that as like crunch, right? Every time you knock someone up, you're restoring 3% of your max health. It's not a lot, but on certain characters like Crunch, Grux, Richter, Steel, you can proc that so often that it's going to feel like they are always healing. I'm assuming this doesn't stack. I'm assuming it refreshes duration if you do it multiple times in a row, but they are always going to be healing. It's going to be very frustrating. On top of that, gain 10% increased healing. They tried this. This is original Raiment of Renewal passive. I don't like that they're bringing it back. Honestly, they tried it once. It didn't work. And I really don't like the fact that they're bringing it back on a full defense item. Right, the difference with Raiment of Renewal to this is that Raiment of Renewal was the health regen item. Now, that regen effect is on Void Helm, which is a defense item, which like statistically makes it stronger. They had this passive was on Tainted Totem. It was on Raiment of Renewal. And guess what? They took it off of Raiment of Renewal and they took it off of Tainted Totem because those items were simply too strong. So the fact that they are putting this back on what is a statistically substantially better item than both of those kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know. I just don't understand it, to be honest. I don't get it. Keep in mind, Void Helm, this 10% increased healing with something like Unbroken Will that heals you every time you get immobilized, every time you get hard CC'd, is going to be insane. So if you have Unbroken Will and Void Helm, you are going to be healing when you hard CC someone and when someone hard CCs you. And both of those are getting increased by 10%. If you're building this on Crunch, your Omnivamp is getting increased by 10%. Your passive healing is getting increased by 10%. Grux is getting his passive healing increased by 10%. It's just going to be a pretty crazy item. I don't particularly like the direction they went in with it. I don't mind this second passive if it had a cooldown. If this was, even if they buffed this, if they double this to 6% of your max health and put this on even a 15-second cooldown, I'd be okay with it. That would be totally fine. But the fact that it has no cooldown is going to make it incredibly frustrating to play against. I already think Unbroken Will should have a cooldown, and it doesn't. It's just going to be incredibly frustrating. So we'll see what happens. I'm assuming this is the best item in the game post-patch. If I'm wrong, I'll gift myself 5 subs. Bug fixes, nothing. That's the end of the patch. So it's a long one. I know this is a really long video. If you guys made it through, then let me know what you guys think down below. I want to know you guys' thoughts on the patch. I'm assuming most of you guys came into this video already having read the patch notes. So let me know what you guys think. Did I hit what you guys thought? Did you guys have something different? I'm really curious what you guys think. I know I'm kind of negative on the patch notes, but I want to asterisk that because I do really like the hero changes. I don't mind them making everyone tankier. I don't incredibly dislike that. I think that, like me personally, I don't have an issue with time to kill right now. I don't think it's that bad. I think if you're building correctly, you're not insta-dying late game. You're not insta-dying early game. I don't mind it. I think the map is more of the issue than the actual time to kill because it's more of a positioning thing where in certain positions you cannot not die, right? Like some of the lanes are just so long, some of the ganks are just so easy. That's kind of the more issue in my opinion. I am planning on doing a map video. I'm gonna make a better map. I'm gonna draw it up. I'll make it for you guys. I'll let you guys see what it is. That's probably gonna come out next week. For now, let me know what you guys think. Again, I really like the hero changes, and I like most of the item changes. Mage item changes, +1. Even the bruiser items, +1. I like the legacy change. I like the Draconum change. I like even the Bonesaw change. I like that stuff. The carry item changes, -1. The tank item changes, Void Helm, -1. The rest of tank item changes, +1. You know, it's like there's only a couple spots of this patch that I actually dislike. For the most part, I think that this is a step in the correct direction as far as time to kill goes. I think for the most part, it's good. There are just a couple things that are just a little bit baffling to me that seem like Omida going against what they've said or taking a step forward and then a step back. It's just that kind of stuff. So let me know what you guys think. I know I kind of rambled at the end of this video, but that's all I've got for you. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for making it through the video. That's all I've got for you. As always, I've been Pinzo. this video's done. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.